Okay, awesome. Well, officially welcome everybody. This is week 5. In this week's email, I put all of the people were asking for the past ones if they were like getting into it late. So all of the previous weeks are in this email. I just went to the email. So if you go to the very, very bottom and it's cut off, I was like, oh no, I forgot them. But there's a little thing, like I think the email was too long, so it made me, so just if anybody wants to look for other ones, go to your email, but if it looks cut off, it's actually not, just click the little thing. So today, super practical. We are going to get super practical with releasing lots of different places. And these are some of my favorites that they have a lot of mileage, meaning they're super resourceful. You can use them frequently, and they're just really easy. So I have 2 sizes of hand towel, one that's a little thicker and one that's a little thinner. And you know, you can play around and figure out what your preference is. But this is where we're gonna start. So I'm sitting. The first one we're gonna do is for the neck. So I'm sitting, you can find whatever position is comfortable for you. And I'm gonna go to the floor here in a second to show you the rest of them, just to let you know what's coming up. So I have a hand towel that I have with the long ways rolled up. So this is the first release for the neck. Now, if you have disc issues of your neck, this is probably not the best option, but if in a couple of situations, this is actually the best thing for you, but I don't know who those people are because I haven't evaluated all of you. So if you have disc issues, let's avoid this. But if you don't, this is really awesome. So you're gonna put that curled up towel at the very crook of your neck. And you're gonna almost provide your own little traction or your own little myofascial release. It's kind of one and the same here. But from a side view, if that towel is there, you're gonna put a little bit of tension on it, pulling forward just a tiny bit. And then if my nose is 0 degrees, you're gonna go to about 30 to 40 degrees. And then you're gonna scoop with your hands and you're almost gonna tip back just a little bit and you're gonna cradle, you're gonna relax your head so that the towel is supporting your neck. And then from there, you can use your hands to turn. So I'm pulling up on this top and then you're gonna pull to the other side. Not like a super big range of motion. And this is one of my favorites. If you have a headache, particularly a tension headache in the low part of your, or like the base of your skull, this will do wonders. You just relax your head into that and pull slightly to one side. So here you're gonna get a little bit of a fascial release. The hold count here is about 20 seconds. And you're gonna do this a couple times, like 2 to 3 times on each side. And it feels wonderful. Like even that, I feel it. My back is a little tight from doing stuff over the weekend and working in the garden. So I feel this all the way down to like the middle of my shoulder blades and actually the top of my low back. So that's a little bit of a distraction. For the rest of these, I'm gonna lay on the ground. So let me move the computer here. You guys are actually in my garage and this is so I have both my towels with me and I'm gonna get comfy here. So I'm gonna take the fluffier towel for this one. So this is, we're gonna go to the neck again. So that fluffy towel, this time I'm gonna fold it in half the long way and then roll it up into a nice little ball. Wow, I guess it's not a ball, more of a half circle. Or a cone, I don't know what you would call this. Cylinder, it's a cylinder. So it's a pretty thick roll there. And I'm going to put this at the very, very base of my head. And I'm just going to relax here. I'm going to move so you guys can see that a little bit better. So from here, my feet are up. It doesn't matter. This is a great posture and a great position to, on the first week, we focused on some of those breathing strategies. This is a great position to do that because your airway is nice and open, because you have a nice curvature of your neck. Oftentimes, we have flattened out our spines. So this is asking for the body to sit in a position that it was designed to be in. And from here, you can just relax. I'm obviously not relaxing, but if I were, I would hang out here, taking those nice deep belly breaths for like 3 to 5 minutes or so. And you can go longer. There's not a right or wrong for this one. And this one is okay with people with disc issues. So those are 2 releases for the neck. In the same position, I'm going to do a release for the back of the shoulder, which actually is for both the front and the back of the shoulder. I am going to use the same towel, same one that I just did for my neck. And I'm going to put this right on the inside of my shoulder blade. So it's not to my spine, but the inside of my shoulder blade, like it's curving, hugging the curve of that shoulder blade. So the bottom of the towel is a little bit tiny. It's a little more close to my spine than the top of the towel, if that makes sense. And then from there, I'm going to angle a little bit so you can see. I'm just going to put my arm at about a 45-degree angle and let it rest. So this will release the front of the shoulder. Can't really see it because my shirt's low. And I'm going to hang out here for, upwards of a minute. If you get numbness and tingling in your hand, just rest for a sec and then go right back to it. And this obviously you can do on both sides. So that is another way to use the towel for your shoulder. Then there's I'll show that, and if we have time, there's internal rotation, but we'll get to it. Okay, this is my favorite, the next one. So I'm going to go to a thinner towel. You can use a thicker towel. This one is for the sacrum and for the low back. And I know a lot of people have a lot of tension there right now. So I'm going to take this towel and fold it in half the long way. And then I'm going to fold it like a flag. So, I'm going to make a little triangle out of it. So at the end, I will end with a little triangle. So this triangle is going to go, I'm going to lay down in a second, but it's going to go on my bum. So the bottom of that triangle is pointing down. And then I'm going to lay directly on it. So, triangle pointing down, I'm going to bridge and lay with that directly on my sacrum. You can see that. So, here my legs are bent. You can lay with your legs bent, you can lay with your legs straight. And from here, it might not feel like too much when you're laying flat, but you're going to hang out here for about 3 to 5 minutes if you want to, at least a minute. So what this is doing, people have just a ton of tension right now at their sacrum. And while we are sitting and while we're standing and moving around.
Where's my sacrum?
So your sacrum, I thought I showed that. So your sacrum is at the very, very bottom of your spine. I don't have Mr. Bones here today, unfortunately. Your sacrum is at the very, very bottom of your spine. And it's a little, I always refer to it like a pizza wedge. And that
is that like by the dimples?
Yeah, so the top, your dimples would sit right here.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, and then your coccyx would be right there. that make sense? I'll talk this way. So that's one of my favorites. So you lay with that at your sacrum for 3 to 5 minutes at the very most. You can actually lay on it longer. This is not a direction of pressure that your sacrum gets very often. We're either sitting, so you put the pressure here, or we're standing, and the sacrum takes a lot of pressure in an upright position. So a fascial release is a low load, long duration. You want a low load, long duration for that fascia to relax and release. So fascia is a connective tissue, and it's throughout your whole body. And there's a couple places where it's the thickest. Here at the back of the neck, there at your sacrum, and then at the bottoms of your feet, which are bottoms of the feet to the backs of the ankles. So fascia it's a really cool connective tissue that is mostly water. So the harder you push against it, just like when you're in water, the harder you push against it, the harder it pushes back. So you want this low load, long duration pressure for that tissue to actually release. So by laying on that towel at your sacrum, it's putting a pressure against that sacrum that your sacrum doesn't get very often, therefore creating a higher potential for you to actually get a release of that tissue. So when you lay there for a couple of minutes, when you won't really feel anything at that time, but when you remove the towel and lay back down flat, you're gonna feel, you might not feel anything, and that's still okay. Sometimes people will feel an increase in heat, and sometimes people will feel an increase in cold. Sometimes people get emotional, and I wouldn't have believed it if it didn't happen to me, and I haven't seen it over and over again, because the pelvis holds a lot of emotion. And that's a very loaded statement, and in a very rushed scenario. So that could probably be about 12 of these. So this is one of my favorites, and one that I give out often for people with SI joint pain and low back pain. So definitely try that one. That's a sacral release. So if we keep moving down the chain, let me check my time. Yes, okay. Did everybody see that? Okay, so Corey put up there a little picture of the fascia. Okay, so moving down the chain a little bit. You can always do a good hamstring stretch with a towel. I guess I'll show that one first. So hamstrings are at the backs of the legs. So hamstrings attach here a little below the knee and come up. There's 3 of them. They come up and they attach right at the bottom of the bum. So since there's 3 of them, they all point in different directions. So when people think that they're stretching their hamstrings and they sit with their legs long and they reach for their toes, you're only getting like 20% of the story, meaning we need to get a better stretching those hamstrings from different angles. So in a regular stretch, I'm gonna go back to the floor. So with legs long and people reach for their toes, you do get a little bit of a stretch, but there's 3 of those hamstrings, and their fiber direction is not up and down. It's actually at different angles. So if you lay back, this works. If you lay back and you're stretching your hamstring, you need to actually come out to the side. You need to come out to the side a little bit, or across your body a little bit, to get a true stretch of those hamstrings, because they're, like I said, the muscle fiber is not straight up and down. It's like off to either one of these sides. So again, a little bit out to the side. And you gotta hold this. The low load, long duration stretch applies to this too. Meaning, for you to get a true physiological lengthening of any tissue, it needs to be held for at least 60 seconds, not with a ton of pressure. Like I said, the low load, long duration stretch. So this tissue responds the exact same way. So that's another way to use your handy dandy towel. And then the last one is also one of my favorites. And I'm gonna take that towel, actually I put this one on my Instagram feed this week. So if you roll that towel up the long way, and then you fold it in half. Again, I rolled up that towel long ways and fold it in half and flip the towel over on itself. So you made a little towel sandwich. Then you take your foot and step directly on that. So I'm not balancing on this foot, I'm just letting my feet and my toes kind of curl around the end. And then lean into it and put a little pressure into those toes. You're gonna get a stretch through the top of the foot. And again, just like this, with any of the other things as well, you want a low load, long duration stretch. So you wanna hold that for a good minute to get a nice stretch. So it's not actually super intense. It feels good, and sometimes you just don't recognize why it feels good until you step off of that. And then it's like, ooh, like your feet kind of want to dance a little bit after doing that stretch. So that goes the same with all the others. Low load, long duration, so at least a minute on each side, and you can do that a couple of times, like 2 to 3 minutes, and allow for that tissue to relax. There's about a zillion exercises you can do with towels, but those are my favorite. Those are my top. Oh, I do have you want to see the shoulder one? Another shoulder one? Okay, real quick. So standing from the back side, this will be the last one. Roll that towel up long. This time, you don't even necessarily have to roll it. Toss that over one side and grab with the bottom hand. And with this hand, I'm going to pull so that I get a nice rotation this is internal rotation of the shoulder. I'll do that one more time. I'm going to switch to the other side. So throw that towel over, grab onto it with the other hand, and pull. So if you get pain with this, Sarah, this would be a good one for you. If you get pain with this, back off a little bit, meaning if it's painful here, come down the back a little bit and see if that eases. So you might feel a pull here in the front, you might feel a pull on the outside, you might even feel a pull in the back, and none of those are wrong. Then same applies here, low load, long duration stretch. And now those are all my favorites, but does anybody have questions about any of those? Awesome. Well, cool. Well, thanks for joining me. Week 5 of this little adventure. So this one, if you want to refer to it, it'll be in next week's email attached with the link and all of that, just like all of these other ones. Yeah, sorry, packed a lot into a little bit of time, but hopefully that was, hopefully that was helpful. Awesome. Well, I'm going to stop the recording here and say goodbye.